welcome to another edition of The Insiders. Danny Ventura alongside Bruce Lurch. Bruce, you saw history last Thursday. Framingham native Troy Flutie etched his name into the record books one more time.
Yeah, we're wondering if it was going to be easier or not. It was you were out. It was windy. It was cold, but no problem for Flutie and company. Five quick touchdowns to break the record, and then they ended up getting two more in special circumstances, fourth and longs inside the 20 both times. They had no choice really but to go for it. So, but you couldn't ask for a better kid. And to take over this record from Jonathan DiBiase in Troy, he's been terrific and a class act the way he's handled everything throughout his career.
I got to see one of the two league championship games on the line, and for those people who keep wanting to run around saying that there's nothing to Thanksgiving, yes, there were two league titles on the line. Old Rochester won the South Coast Conference title, defeating Apponequet, and I was at the Xaverian St. John's prep game. A terrific high school game. To people who want to say there's no emotion on Thanksgiving, go see that game. There was a lot of hard hitting, probably a little too much for Xaverian's liking. They wound up losing 4 starters in that game, and as of right now, they're questionable for the Super Bowl tilt against Central Catholic. But it was a real good high school, outstanding game. Xaverian scores in the last 20 seconds to win 28-22. We're back here. One thing we talked about in the first segment is injuries with Xaverian. Xaverian's not the only team that suffered some injuries, Bruce.
No, Mansfield had a bad break as well. Mansfield, trying to keep that undefeated season alive, Danny, decided to play its starters. Lost 2 very big weapons, Brendan Hill and Miguel Villar-Perez, wide receiver and running back, both starters, 2 of their best players. Be interesting to see what their status is. I know we had Bob McGovern talk to Coach Redding in Monday's Boston Herald as well when we previewed the game. Kind of uncommittal as to their status. Probably going to be game time decisions for both of them.
Now, by contrast, the Division III preview that you're working on, Scott Fry was criticized in some circles for not playing any starters in his Thanksgiving Day game against Plymouth North. So they should be pretty well rested against an undefeated Tewksbury team.
I'll say this much, and I asked both Coach Fry and Coach Aylward if they thought there was any benefit to either start or sit, because Tewksbury did play. They got their starters into the second half before they came out. Both of them said, and I agree with this, you do what's best for your own particular situation.
Right.
The Plymouth South kids, they play a punishing, physical style of football with Dylan Oxen and their offensive line. Those guys needed a break. And to be honest with you, of the whole scope of Thanksgiving with all of our Super Bowl teams, I don't fault any one team for the decision they made, whether it was play or sit.
We talked about the first 3 divisional Super Bowls in our second segment, actually. In our final segment, we'll take care of the last 3. Division 4, which I think could be one of the better games out there, Dennis Yarmouth, number 10 ranked team in our poll, going against a Doherty team that's only lost once. They certainly have one of the more marquee athletes in the state. And Isaac Yadden, going to Boston College, does it all on both sides of the ball. Dennis Yarmouth has a junior along those same lines, and Michael Dunn, kid that head coach Paul Funk says is as good a defensive back as you're going to find in the state.
Real quick in Division 5, we've got Northbridge versus Bishop Fenwick. For Bishop Fenwick, Rufus Russians took a rest on Thanksgiving to rest his elbow. He'll be ready to go on Saturday. Quarterback Nick Bona as well. For Northbridge, you want to keep an eye on Kobe Schofield, dual threat player, close to 3,000 total yards on the season. He's the engine that makes Northbridge go. Division 6, Ron Borges' favorite team, Littleton versus Cohasset. Alex McLaughlin and Travis Bassett have Littleton averaging close to 40 points a game, while Cole Kissick leads Cohasset in here. Program best, 11 wins for the Skippers this year, looking to take it one more.
That's it. If they get number 12, they'll really be a super team. And for Bruce Lurch, Danny Ventura, don't forget to join us Friday night for the final episode of Herald Radio, The Insiders.